The scene shifted to the next morning inside the Qingchang Library. After entering the library, the protagonist immediately sensed something unusual. The entire space was silent and empty, with no signs of activity anywhere. As he looked around, confusion arose in his mind. He had been told to come quickly, yet the person who summoned him was nowhere to be seen. His gaze slowly swept across the room until it settled on a single girl seated at a table, quietly reading while wearing a pair of glasses. At first glance, she seemed like an ordinary student, but something about her presence felt familiar. A moment later, realization struck him. The girl with the glasses was Wu Yuqing. She revealed herself soon after, confirming his suspicion. As she removed her glasses, her presence suddenly became much more noticeable. A faint trace of embarrassment crossed her face before she quickly composed herself. She explained the glasses she had been wearing. They were a god relic capable of suppressing a person's presence, making them difficult to notice. While worn, they dulled one's existence, but once removed, all that suppressed presence would surge outward at once. The longer they were worn, the stronger the effect would be afterward. The protagonist reacted with mild confusion, finding the explanation unexpected but intriguing. As he stood there, he sensed the presence of divine energy reacting within him. Wu Yuqing continued explaining calmly, making it clear that the relic's effects were far more complex than they initially appeared. She then handed the glasses to him. As he examined them, curiosity filled his thoughts. Certain strange reactions he had experienced earlier now made more sense to him. He soon shifted his focus back to the reason he had been called. That was when Wu Yuqing brought out several documents and laid them before him. She explained that the mission was unusual. It was a containment task that normally would not be assigned to someone at his level. The target involved another god relic, one that amplified the wearer's primal desires. The current bearer was a woman named Lu Huiying, whose impulses became uncontrollable when encountering attractive men. The protagonist put on the glasses as he listened. It became clear that this relic had been prepared specifically for him. Given his current foundation, suppressing his presence first and then releasing it at the right moment would allow him to easily trigger the target's obsession and safely remove the relic. As the plan settled in his mind, the protagonist felt a slight flush of embarrassment. The method was obvious, but he could not deny that it suited him rather well. At the same time, he sensed another wave of divine energy being absorbed. The realization dawned on him that this mission would allow him to deal with two god relics at once while remaining relatively safe. He glanced at the glasses again, feeling that they fit him perfectly. An ambitious thought crossed his mind as he imagined the results of wearing them for an extended period before removing them. With renewed confidence, he adjusted his hair, his posture straightening slightly as his thoughts soared toward the future. Nearby, Wu Yuqing watched him quietly, a trace of confusion appearing in her expression as she tried to understand what was going through his mind. The protagonist broke the silence and casually brought up the topic of the glasses. From her response, he understood that the glasses were not her personal item, but something borrowed from another containment company. That information surprised him. Until now, he had assumed their organization was the only one of its kind in the country, especially given how secretive and high-level it appeared. She clarified the misunderstanding. God relic containment companies were indeed special, but in essence, their work was no different from cleaning dangerous threats that appeared unpredictably. Relics existed everywhere, and no single organization could possibly manage them all. Because of that, multiple companies operated under the same system. The explanation continued in a calm and realistic manner. Containment work was extremely dangerous, and not everyone was qualified to handle it. These jobs were outsourced by the state, and while some companies followed strict rules, others were driven purely by profit. If he ever encountered personnel from other companies, caution would be necessary. The protagonist acknowledged this internally, letting out a quiet sigh as the weight of the responsibility settled in. After a brief pause, he removed the glasses, intending to personally test their effect. As he stood there, the change was immediate. His suppressed presence surged outward naturally, without effort. Wu Yuqing's reaction made the result obvious. Her heartbeat quickened, and a faint blush appeared on her face as she instinctively looked away. The protagonist quickly understood that the glasses worked exactly as described. Satisfied with the confirmation, the scene shifted. The setting moved to city traffic later that day. Inside a bus, the protagonist sat quietly while reviewing the documents Wu Yuqing had given him. As the vehicle moved through the streets, he focused on the information in front of him. Liu Huiying's profile was detailed and direct. She was active almost exclusively in the Southern District, frequenting bars, discos, host clubs, and KTVs. The locations alone painted a clear picture of her lifestyle and influence. As he read further, the situation became clearer. Using the physical enhancement provided by the villainess's crown of glory, she had established her own territory and formed a small gang known as the Rose Gang. With her strength continuously increasing, she preyed on local men, draining them both physically and mentally. The crown itself continuously amplified her desires. The stronger those desires became, the greater the boost to her physical abilities. Left unchecked, the effect would only continue to stack endlessly. The solution, however, was straightforward. Removing the crown would return her to a normal state. The challenge lay in creating the right opportunity to do so. As the bus slowed and reached its destination in the Southern District, the protagonist folded the documents and stood up. Stepping off the bus, he felt another subtle surge of divine energy within him, signaling that his involvement with God relics was only deepening as he moved forward. The scene shifted to the Southern District. On a street corner, Liu Huiying was violently assaulting a man with a bat. A heavy strike landed squarely on his abdomen, forcing blood to spill from his mouth as he collapsed in pain. She casually swung the bat in her hand, clearly enjoying the complete lack of restraint that her current state allowed. Her expression was twisted with satisfaction. To her, acting freely without consequences felt intoxicating. Anyone who tried to interfere or restrain her would only become another target of her violence. From a distance, the protagonist observed everything in silence. His attention was fixed on the crown resting on her head, and disgust rose in his thoughts. Her behavior felt excessive and absurd, but there was no doubt that she was the target he had been searching for. As Liu Huiying prepared to leave, an elderly man approached her cautiously. His posture was submissive, and fear was evident in his movements. She stopped and questioned him instead, clearly not done with her amusement for the day. The old man bowed deeply, offering compliance without resistance. His desperation was obvious. Liu Huiying suddenly closed the distance between them, her expression darkening as her intent became unmistakable. The protagonist, still watching from afar, felt immediate revulsion. The thought of approaching her himself made his skin crawl, and the assignment felt far more unpleasant than expected. Before the situation could escalate further, a group of men arrived, advancing toward Liu Huiying with hostility. Their formation was aggressive, and their intent was clear. They had come seeking revenge. Recognizing the sudden shift, the protagonist decided to remain hidden and continue observing. This unexpected development could reveal valuable information. The leader of the group stepped forward, openly challenging Liu Huiying. It quickly became clear that he was Duan Kaiping, the leader of the Razor Gang. Liu Huiying turned toward him dismissively, showing no recognition or concern. One of her injured subordinates hurriedly explained his identity, confirming that the Razor Gang had suffered greatly at his hands before losing their territory. Liu Huiying approached Duan Kaiping slowly, examining him with obvious interest. Her attention lingered on his physique, and her behavior only further provoked him. Anger exploded from Duan Kaiping. He surged forward and launched a powerful punch, demanding the return of his territory. Liu Huiying evaded the attack effortlessly, moving with speed and confidence that far exceeded his expectations. Enraged, Duan Kaiping continued attacking relentlessly, shouting insults as his strikes repeatedly failed to land. From his vantage point, the protagonist pieced together the situation. The Southern District had originally belonged to the Razor Gang, but Liu Huiying had seized it using the power granted by the crown, igniting an ongoing feud between the two groups. As the conflict escalated, Duan Kaiping's men joined the fight, charging toward Liu Huiying and her followers. The street quickly descended into chaos as both sides clashed violently. In the confusion, one of Duan Kaiping's men struck the old man's young son in the head with a brick. The child screamed in pain and collapsed to the ground. The sight instantly enraged Liu Huiying. Her attention snapped toward the injured child, and fury surged through her. The old man cried out in despair, rushing toward his son. Gripping her bat tightly, Lu Huiying turned back to her enemies, her rage now fully ignited. Any trace of amusement vanished as her intent shifted toward brutal retaliation. Duan showed a confident expression as he finally became serious. He stepped forward and launched a powerful punch, landing it directly on Lu Huiying's face. The force sent her flying into the air, crashing into nearby debris, which shattered on impact. She recovered quickly, rising with a twisted smile, clearly intrigued by the exchange. She decided to engage him properly instead of treating the fight as entertainment. From a distance, the protagonist continued to observe in silence. Both fighters advanced toward each other again, their movements sharp and forceful. As they clashed repeatedly, the protagonist analyzed Duan Kaiping carefully. His palm strikes were precise and controlled, shaped like a blade, capable of cutting with tremendous force. As the fight continued, both sides exchanged heavy blows. However, despite Duan's superior technique, Lu Huiying suffered only superficial injuries. In pure martial skill, Duan clearly surpassed her, but her body absorbed the damage unnaturally well, making it difficult to injure her seriously. At that moment, the protagonist felt the absorption process complete. Without hesitation, he chose to enhance his physical strength this time, pairing it with his previous speed enhancement. Testing the effect, he picked up a small stone and tossed it lightly before hurling it forward with full force. The stone struck Duan's lower leg. Despite its size, the impact was devastating, shattering the bone instantly. Duan collapsed in pain, screaming uncontrollably. The protagonist confirmed internally that the enhancement was extremely effective. Lu Huiying froze, immediately sensing something was wrong. She spun around, trying to locate the source of the attack. Duan accused someone of a sneak attack while struggling to stand. His companions rushed to support him, retreating quickly while issuing threats before leaving the scene. Lu Huiying watched them go, blood spilling from her mouth, clearly injured but still standing. The strike had caused noticeable damage. At that moment, the protagonist stepped forward and entered the scene. Lu Huiying focused on him, questioning whether he was responsible. The protagonist admitted it calmly, standing with confidence. She suspected he had used some kind of weapon. He neither confirmed nor denied it directly, only implying that it was not meant for her. While observing her stance and movements, the protagonist noted that her fighting style lacked discipline. It was clear she had never undergone formal training. He clenched his fist and prepared himself, deciding to confront her directly rather than relying on external control methods unless absolutely necessary. Lu Huiying reacted with vulgar confidence, attempting to provoke him. The protagonist remained silent, inhaling deeply and maintaining composure. His calm response unsettled her. For the first time, doubt surfaced in her thoughts as she began to reassess him. She demanded to know who he was. The protagonist relaxed his stance slightly and introduced himself simply, giving her a name to remember.